Majorca, a Mediterranean gem where the rugged mountains meet crystal clear waters. Today, I'm going to be trading in the crowded beaches and tourist spots for the island's real wild side. I'm going to be venturing deep into the untamed landscapes across the GR221 route. The route is nearly 100 kilometers in distance and stretches from Palencia to Port de Andrax, cutting through majestic mountains, breathtaking landscapes and many different villages. So grab some popcorn and enjoy the journey. After a short bus journey from the airport to Palencia, we soon hit the trail. After seeing the first sign, I felt a huge surge of excitement. The adventure was finally beginning, and with each step, the promise of discovery grew stronger. The path stretched ahead, winding through rugged terrain, shaded by ancient olive trees, inviting me to explore the untouched beauty of Majorca. With my pack secure and the sound of birdsong in the air, I couldn't wait to see what was ahead. Starting to go uphill now. Those miles were easy to box because it was on the flat. So now we're starting to go a bit of an incline, but we'll push on. Don't think we'll make it to the next town tonight, but camping in the mountains is on the menu, I think. But we'll see. Who knows, eh? That's the beauty of it. As the sun began its slow descent, the landscape around me is bathed in a warm golden glow. Shadows are stretched along the trail with a slight chill in the air, signalling it's time to find camp soon. Managed to find like the only camp spot that we could in Miles, which is the dry stone route for you, man. Normally you have to go off trail a bit to find one, because you know the terrain is just rocks, dirt, boulders, stones. That's what it is. With camp finally set up, there's one thing that makes the moment perfect: having a hot drink in hand. There's nothing quite like it after a long day of hiking. As the sun begins to set, it slowly disappears behind the jagged peaks of the mountains. The golden light fades into softer hues. It's almost like the mountains are swallowing up the sun, leaving a calm that settles over everything. Perfect moment to finish my drink. After chasing after the sunset, I decide to walk back to my tent. Whilst I'm walking back, I can't help how simple life is right now. I've got everything I need in my bag. Got a little patch of ground underneath the night sky. No noise, no distractions, just the faint sounds of nature. It's perfect. The mosquitoes are bad this year as well. I mean, it ain't been that bad where we've been, but yeah, there's been warnings about them. You got these ones called like tiger mosquitoes or something. And yeah, they're spreading. Normally, like the mosquitoes aren't that bad, but these tiger ones, they're spreading diseases, and they're quite big as well. But sometimes you get bit by the babies and you can't see them. So it depends what time of year that you're here. So I just sprayed all my clothes, and I sprayed myself with bite block, and my clothes with forgot what it's called, but it's some chemical. It's probably toxic AF, but it is what it is. Leave no trace. I woke up really early, feeling very fresh, so I decided to hit the trail as early as possible and soak up some of that fresh mountain air. I didn't want to rely on technology too much, having to check my GPS every 5 minutes, so it took me a while to get my bearings. But that's part of the adventure that I really enjoy.
suddenly came across a water source, which is a rare find on the GR route. I didn't need water at this moment, but I marked it down on my map for future reference. It was a strange sight to see. As the fresh morning started to fade away, the heat in my back began to build and build and build. It was a persistent reminder that the day was shifting. The cool morning breeze is giving way to this scorching hot midday sun. As the sun beat down, I couldn't help but question if coming away in the peak of summer was actually a good idea. I was so thankful for a stretch of shade. The sun was so hot, it felt like a relentless weight pressing down on me. The coolness under these trees was brief, but such a welcome relief. Gave me a moment to kind of catch my breath and get my thoughts together.
Walking. Uphill in this heat. This is a killer. But we push on and we're getting there. Oh, it's just taken longer than I thought. Just because the heat's a killer. Plus, need to keep the water as well. Don't waste it. But you're sweating it out.
With my supplies running low, I pushed myself to keep up the pace in the sweltering heat. The next village was getting closer, but it still felt like it was an eternity away. The forest suddenly ended and the path opened to this beautiful quiet road. Although the village was still a distance away, seeing the sign really helped me get the energy just to complete the last stretch.
Longer than expected. Can't wait to get a cold drink and a sit down and a rest.
After a beautiful refreshing beer, I had a quick backpacker's wash in the toilets, and then I was going to hunt some food down. Before I knew it, I was back on a steep incline. The afternoon was slipping away, but with these long summer days, I still had enough daylight to try and conquer this peak and find a suitable camp spot. After spending what felt like an eternity trying to find some flat ground once I reached the peak, I eventually found some. It had a lot of animal feces everywhere and a load of mosquitoes, but it had to do. Gangs of mosquitoes surrounded me, so I quickly got my tent set up and got inside the net part and locked myself in, and just sat down and watched one of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen. As soon as the sun dipped behind the mountains, the mosquitoes seemed to vanish, retreating as quickly as they appeared, so I got a chance to finish setting up my tent. The air grew cooler, and with the hum of all the insects gone, this peaceful stillness settled over the landscape, marking the true start of the night. One of the things I really love about adventures like this is that with no plan or schedule dictating my actions, other than the forces of Mother Nature and the basic needs of survival of course, I have the freedom to completely change the course of my trip. With this in mind, I set myself a goal. If I could reach the next major village by the end of the day, I'm going to treat myself to some accommodation. The heat was just relentless, and the thought of a cool shower and a proper bed was the motivation I needed to keep moving. It wasn't about the comfort though, it was about giving my body a break from the hardcore heat and distance that I've endured. The stretch of path was particularly interesting, as it featured a man-made canal system that was carefully guiding water down to a reservoir. The engineering blended seamlessly with the natural surroundings. As I followed the course of the water, I couldn't help but admire the ingenuity behind it. It served as a reminder of how people have worked with the land here for centuries, shaping it to sustain life whilst preserving its beauty. But it also reminded me that, even out in the wilderness, I'm reliant on what I carry to keep me going. Every litre of water and every bit of food has had to come from somewhere. Out here, survival isn't about convenience, it's about preparation and resourcefulness. The contrast between self-sufficiency of nature and my own dependence of what's in my bag helped me reflect on the balance of what's required to thrive in the wild.
Ice cold, straight from the spring.
The sun was relentless, beating down as the heat pressed in from all sides. I decided to take a short rest and gather my energy. I then pushed through the last few kilometres to reach the village. As soon as I arrived, I grabbed some fresh watermelon. The first bite was nothing short of heavenly. The cold, juicy sweetness was the most refreshing thing I've tasted in a long time. It's exactly what I needed to recharge after the long, hot trek it had been. Truly hit the spot. As promised, I checked into the hostel. The building was charming and full of character. After grabbing the key from reception, I took a quick look around and was pleasantly surprised on how inviting this place was. It had a relaxed vibe, perfect for unwinding. It's a shame I was only staying for a few hours because it seemed like the kind of spot where you could truly take your time and enjoy the atmosphere.
This is peak, man. It's just so hot. I haven't seen one other person camping. When I did it last year, there were other people camping, and that was in September. Hardly anyone's on the trail either. It's just that hot here, man. Everyone's like, nah, not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Nothing beats a fresh shower, especially after a few days in the wild. Really makes me appreciate my creature comforts back home. After a couple of beers and some snacks, I just sat and just reflected on the journey so far. What a perfect way to end the day. The next day I felt a surge of excitement and curiosity. Spontaneously, I jumped onto a bus and decided to change the route. Having walked the GR221 a couple of times before, I fancied exploring one of the alternative routes that leads back onto the main trail. The idea of venturing familiar territory with a fresh perspective filled me with anticipation for what laid ahead. After a pleasant bus journey, I landed in Valdimosa. It's a picturesque village in the middle of the mountain range. It's known for its charming cobblestone streets, stone houses and breathtaking mountain views, and it's often considered one of the most beautiful villages on the whole island. After fully fueling up, I got straight back on the trail. The alternative route starts straight back on the GR221. It was not long before I was back on a steep incline, the trail winding its way through the rugged terrain. Each step was beginning to feel heavier, especially under the midday sun. As I looked back, the village began to disappear and the terrain began to change.
Fully fueled up. Ate many things. Drank many coffees. Down loads of water. So, all fueled up, ready for the next bit.
This stretch of trail consisted of a mixture of rocks and boulders, demanding full concentration. The sun's glare reflecting off these pale stones made it even more challenging. Occasionally it was blinding me and forcing me to tread even more carefully. One wrong step can easily put you in danger, and it's a fast fall down to the bottom.
What always amazes me is the miles you can do on flatland compared to going up a mountain. Is crazy. You look at something, you think, oh, it's 3 miles. That'll be sweet, that's easy. And then when you're into it, because it's uphill, you look and you're only a mile in. Damn. But yeah, when it's on the flat, you look down at your watch and you're like 6 miles in. I'm a beast. Easy.
I had to stop for a rest already. Today was shaping up to be the hottest yet, and I could already feel the warmth radiating through the air. Even the breeze was hot. In the shade it's 33 degrees already, and it's set to get as hot as 40 in some areas of the island. I'll see how the day unfolds today, but my plan is to try and push on and reach the next village across the alternative route.
What's actually fascinating is the difference between the shade here and the sun here. That is ridiculous, man. It's such a fucking difference. Absolutely crazy. But just try and find as much shade as possible. Zigzag through it if you need. Man. Crazy.
It turned out that the island was in the midst of a major heat wave, with forest fires breaking out in several areas. As the heat continued to intensify, I felt uncertain about my plans. Reaching the next village became my priority, where I can take a moment to reevaluate my options.
This is madness.
I was so relieved to finally reach the village. The heat was so intense that my camera battery malfunctioned, leaving me unable to film for a few hours.
Civilization, man. In a nice bit of shade now. That was hard. I thought I was gonna die at one point. Just heat, overheat. I actually feel a bit sick as well. Knocks you sick, man, this heat. Anything you put in your body, you just sweat straight out within seconds. And then you're sweating, clothes are getting heavier, wetter, and it's just mad. It's just mad, man. Crazy to think that back in the day people would just walk places carrying things and that before we had cars, and that is crazy to even think that.
The sun was really hot still, so I joined the locals and found some shade in a nice bar, grabbed myself an ice cold beer. Next, I found this beautiful Italian place, serving the best pizza on the island apparently. Whilst I was waiting for the pizza, I booked a B&B, grabbed the pizza and made my way straight to there. There's no way I'm camping in this heat tonight.
Damn. Whew. Surprise hostel, because man, the heat is just way too much for me. Just getting sticky, just sweaty, everything is wet. It's mad, man. Don't want to camp in that. Nice bit of luxury. Now, do you know what? The heat is that hot. Can't be doing it. Cannot be doing it, man.
Waking up was difficult, as the blackout curtains blocked out all the natural sunlight, leaving me unaware of the time and making it harder to start the day, which when you've been camping for a few days is kind of weird. It was soon time to give up the comforts of the Airbnb and head back out to the trail. I just love the architecture in these small villages. Every building seems to have character and tells a story. As I wander through the village, I wonder what it must have been like to be a Christian pilgrim in ancient times, making the long journey to the Santori di Duke. Next, it was time for a quick resupply at the shop, and then a cup of coffee, which goes without saying when you're hiking.
These steps for giants. So just came across two people also doing the GR221. They said that, yeah, his wife was getting heat stroke and was like struggling in the sun, and the dude at the refuge wouldn't even give him any water and wouldn't sell him any water, and basically said, if I do it for you, I've got to do it for 400 other hikers or something, which is crazy.
There's nothing more rewarding than seeing the sea whilst you're on a trail, especially after hours of hiking through rugged terrain. Each glimpse of the deep blue sea feels like a reward in itself, and every time the trail opens up to a coastal view, I get a fresh burst of energy.
More houses and less like remote looking buildings as you get down to the town, village, whatever it is. You start to feel the difference, don't you? More shaded areas.
The steep decline down to the next village was quite challenging, but each step was bringing me closer to a well-earned rest. I attempted to demonstrate how steep the decline was, but my camera ended up just rolling down the hill. Lucky enough I was able to catch it. I stumbled across this beautiful rooftop bar that was tucked away above the narrow streets. It was offering an incredible view of the sea, a perfect place to relax. Seeing the sun's golden hues cast over the village, I knew tonight was going to be a spectacular night for a sunset. So I grabbed a beer from the local off licence and found a quiet ledge to sit on. The perfect spot to watch one of nature's best shows. The next morning, as I was packing all my stuff, I felt surprisingly content knowing that my trip was coming to an end. Unlike other holidays that have a lot of relaxing, I felt like I needed a rest from this trip. However, I had one more mission to complete. When I first arrived in Majorca, to avoid carrying the extra weight on the trail, I stashed a bag in a bush near the airport. Now it was time to retrieve it. Walking back to the spot, it felt sketchy. Digging around in bushes near an airport isn't exactly subtle, it definitely looked dodgy. I half expected someone to question what I was up to, but luckily, no one batted an eye. And to my surprise, the bag was still there, exactly where I left it. Mission was complete.